Hi, this is Jim Renshaw, and I'm going to discuss top closing tips for real estate closings in Colorado. The first would be to review your settlement statement before closing. So, the title company prepares the HUD 1 settlement statement, and if you can obtain this from the title company a day or 2 days before closing and have your real estate professional review it, and then also the buyers and sellers look this over, ask questions before closing and have ample time to review this settlement statement. Also, when you go to closing, don't forget your IDs. So all buyers and sellers must bring to closing valid driver's license or pictures IDs issued by the state. A valid passport also works. Some lenders require two IDs, so make sure you have a backup and make sure your IDs are not expired. If your name does not match your ID with the signature that you're going to be signing at with closing, an example might be you recently got married, bring in that documentation that shows the name change. So in that situation, you'd want to bring in your ID as well as your marriage license. Also, Colorado law requires buyers and sellers to bring in good funds. So what that means is you need to bring in your funds in the form of a cashier's check or wire. If you're doing an all cash transaction as a buyer, you need to wire those funds into the title company. Most title companies do not accept cashier's checks on all cash transactions. Money orders are not considered good funds, and cash can only be accepted up to a certain amount at most title companies just for the protection of the employees. Also, a good tip is for the buyer to have the cashiers made payable to themselves. So what this enables the buyer to do is when they come into closing, if the closing gets delayed or if the closing for whatever reason does not take place, then that buyer, that consumer can take that and deposit that check back into their account. If the closing goes as planned, everything happens smoothly, then the buyer just simply takes that cashier's check, endorses it over to the title company, and that will be good funds for the closing. If you're a seller, request your seller proceeds in the form of a cashier's check or wire. Especially if you're a seller and you're going on to purchase a new home and you're going to be using the proceeds from the sale of your current home, you're going to be using those proceeds for the purchase of your new home. You'll need um, those funds in the form of a cashier's check or wire for the new title company. Also, if you can have the lender wire the funds in on the new loan for the borrower and have that available prior to closing, that really makes closings go smoothly. This doesn't always happen. Sometimes you get to the closing table and the title company has yet to receive the funds for the new loan from the lender that's working with the borrower. Um, Also, be prepared if that happens to understand how closing and escrow takes place and being able to explain that to your buyer or seller. Also, another good tip is to close at the title company. So, closing agents are just much better equipped to deal with last minute changes or if there's been a typographical error when they're working out of their own office with their own computers and their own fax machines and copy machines. It just makes it easier to address last minute changes so it's not an inconvenience to buyer and seller. Also, you can get some free cookies and coffee and enjoy a nice closing atmosphere. Also, ask questions. If you need any clarification on items on the HUD 1 settlement statement or closing documents, ask your closing agent. Experienced closing agents are able to answer any question and make buyers and sellers feel comfortable with the transaction. I'm Jim Renshaw. Thanks for your time and good luck closing.